Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Israel's involvement in Ukraine on Ukrainian side, or better put on the American side, becomes more and more noticeable. And it's not surprising, it's just the magnitude that draws attention. So we have this article and we'll see what the Israel's army will provide Ukraine with. So this article comes from the Jerusalem Post. It is from today, October 31st, 2022. This is the title. Israel to give Ukraine military communication systems, report says. Israel will provide Ukraine with military communication systems that the country requested months ago, N-12's UVDA investigative program reported on Monday evening. UVDA spoke with Ukrainian President Volodymyr, you can call him Israeli president, that's fine with me, Volodymyr Zelensky, who told them that Ukraine had requested communication systems from Israel months ago, even before requesting air defense systems. Zelensky pointed to this request as showing that Israel's reluctance to provide defense assistance to Ukraine was not about national security and instead was about the, quote, unquote, attitude towards Russian President Vladimir Putin, end quote. Zelensky revealed as well that he had asked Israel for drones and for help with cyber issues. He will get them. The Ukrainian president, Ukraine is like the third time when I say Ukrainian president so far. Let's see. Now it was the first time here I say Ukrainian president. Now, okay, and then again it was here when they said now the Ukrainian president two times, okay. President also addressed efforts earlier this year by then Prime Minister Naftali Bennett to mediate between Russia and Ukraine, saying, and I'm quoting, "The Russians don't need a mediator. They just want someone to delay things. They saw in Bennett such a person. They used him. He wanted to stop the war, but he couldn't," end quote. Zelensky stressed that Israel must, and I'm quoting, choose a side in the conflict. Why? Oh, there are many questions here. Who the fuck are you? That's the first question. Secondly, you're not that important, and the country that you are in charge of is not important. What I know, you must. Is that like an ultimatum, something? No, I don't must. I must not do anything unless I want to. Jesus Christ, this guy has chutzpah. So Zelensky stressed that Israel must choose a side. No, that's the third option. I don't give a fuck. How about that one? While stressing that he was not making comparisons, Zelensky pointed to European nations who stood silent during the World War II, saying that Israel should avoid being like these countries. Again, the same shaming tactics. What do you want? He's a Moses. What do you want? Zelensky. So he's going to use the same shaming tactics that work on Christians, which is making you feel bad. That's what it is. So they keep using the same tactics. The countries who stood silent during the World War II, I would like to know which countries were those. I'm not talking about Germany, obviously. I would like to know which ones. The ones who didn't help enough? By these guys' standards, no country helped enough, including the United States of America. They say it all the time. You could have done more. How about haven't done anything? Is it better? You know, that's that saying, I don't know if probably is in other cultures as well, when someone comes and brings you a gift and you look at the gift and say, that's what you brought me? Then you take your gift back and say, fuck off. That's what it's in Romania. I can't remember. It's the unhappy receiver of a gift gets his gift taken away. That's kind of like translation. Probably it's in other cultures because we are human and we all have it. We all have this kind of people. In this case, yes, there are some people who didn't help kept silent. Well, you can't take care of everybody's problems. I mean, that's your problem. What am I supposed to do? Jump in it and kill my people for you? Is that the right thing? I mean, if you take it like this, I didn't hear, let's say, Israel saying anything about, I don't know, the scuffle in Bangladesh, I don't know, a few years ago or something. Did they say anything about it? And then why did they keep silent? You know? So you pick and choose, right? And then I'm quoting here. Again, we have these guys as if the Second World War ended yesterday, not 70 freaking years ago. And I'm quoting, when you hear the silence, especially from Israel, you begin to hear the voice of Nazis. I will refuse to acknowledge who and what the Nazis were, or who Hitler is or was, or I will start just saying, I don't know who that person is. I don't know what to talk about. It's like you go, for instance, to, I don't know, Japan, or not Japan, but South Korea, and you talk about, I don't know, Goebbels. Those things are not important for those countries and people. And I'm like, how you still are to that point? That happened 70 freaking years ago. What are you talking about? Don't give me about the magnitude, because if you go by magnitude, we have the Russians, the Soviets, who died much more than anybody else. I didn't hear that thing spoken very often, but all the time I hear this and this and this and this. Even look at the movies. Every year there's 1 or 2 or 3 Nazi movies where the Germans get slaughtered, and again, shaming, shaming, shaming. When are they gonna let the Germans live their lives? Never. Because if you read the Old Testament, it says over there that for someone's crime, his family has to be punished to the 7th generation. Do you think it's just words? Okay, that's why they call the Jewish state and don't call it just Israel. And if you dare to say, hey, that's a Jewish, it's not a Jewish state, it's Israel. That's called anti-Semitism, just so you know. So, anyway, in response to a question by Uvda concerning a comparison he made between Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the Nazis' final solution. Actually, what do I want? This comes from the Jerusalem Post. I should have figured that out. So anyway, Ukraine continues to request further aid from Israel. Ukrainian officials have been pushing Israel to provide further support for Ukraine amid Russia's ongoing invasion of the country, although Israeli officials have been hesitant to commit more than humanitarian aid. Ukrainian ambassador to Israel, Yevgen Kornischuk, told The Hill on Sunday that Ukraine is pushing the US to pressure Israel into providing weapons to the country. You know that's the other way around, right? Okay, when you know that, what Kornischuk said, the ambassador, actually is the other way around. Americans can't make Israel do anything. Israel can make Americans do things, like, for instance, veto all the time in United Nations for any kind of thing, or any kind of resolution that would condemn this or that or this or that. I'm not going to get into it right now, but you know what I'm talking about. It's just been a revolution, a resolution voted 2 days ago. Guess how the resolution was called? Anti-Semitic. All right. It's like you go to a job and you do something, and if they say, hey, Emil, you suck, you say, wait, are you anti-Romanian? Or are you anti-male? Are you anti-white? Wait a second. It's not even about that. I'm just criticizing your job, your work. It's not about you, your eyes, your whatever. No, but yes, it is. You have a problem with me. That's what it is. That's what it is. The Nazis. Here we go again. Okay. So Chernichuk did welcome Israel aid on some technical issues related to defense, pointing to promises by Israeli officials to provide an advanced warning system to help alert civilians of incoming attacks, but pushed that we are expecting more from Israel, of course. The Ukrainian ambassador told The Hill that he meets with U.S. Ambassador to Israel Tom Nides weekly, calling him his secret weapon in getting Israel to provide defense support to Ukraine. Israel would have and will and was supporting Zelensky, Zmihal, Reznikov, and Yermak anyway, sooner or later. The only reason that I think these guys did not jump on the bandwagon was because those four guys are Jews in charge of Ukraine, and it would have been too obvious for idiots, useful idiots who are all for this and all for that. And that's what they say. And now you can say, well, you see, Israel helps the Jews over there, the four Jews in charge of Ukrainian nation. They say, no, see, they're the last ones. They've been asked so many times and they didn't. Well, you can just finally help a little bit humanitarian aid and help the civilians with that warning system. That's all. They're not going to help. You see, you're wrong. You do not know who you're dealing with. Those guys are not idiots like those guys. Those are smart. All right? So, what can I tell you? I can tell you a lot, but I think that's about it for now. Israel will help, I think was helping, and is currently helping those guys in Ukraine. I guarantee you that. All right? They don't want to upset Russia too much, obviously, but after all, they don't really give a damn at one point. They're just afraid. Their goal over there is Iran, and Iran is supported by Russia. So if they upset Russia too much, Russia might do certain things in Iran and Syria that Israel might not like it. That's the only. They don't give a fuck about Ukraine and even Zelensky and Zmihal, and like in the Second World War, you had Jews reporting other Jews, and they did that. One example is George Soros. And he said that those were the best time of his life in Budapest when he was cooperating with those guys, So anyway, so it's not like, no, it never happened. And I'm not saying that. Just Google a few things if you don't want to read a few books about that. But just listen to Soros's statements. He's not ashamed of that. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.